Hey, hey, hands up! Lay some diet. Feet hit the trail. Heartbeats race. Dust on my jacket. Wind in my face. Not about to finish. It's who you find along the way. Every blister, every sunrise, every hot and beautiful day. Head first into the unknown. Let's go chasing trails, yeah. Chasing trails, yeah. Every mud pit, every stone, we're gonna run and leave it all.
All right, welcome in, everyone. Another episode of the Chasing Trails podcast, brought to you by St. John Trail Running, Funny Coast Counseling, and Resilience Through Fitness. Big shout out to our sponsors. Check them out if you can. Jeff, it's great to have you back on. Man, I miss seeing that mug of yours. How are you? How you doing?
You were just here 3 days ago.
I know, that's right. The
For a
grind
live
never
in-person.
ends.
What's
The
that?
grind never ends for us,
man.
you know,
It's true.
multimedia types. Like
It's
it's
true.
always there.
Yeah, I introduced you to my corner that I sit in.
Yeah, I saw what it really looked like in real life.
Real life corner.
Yeah.
We're working on a new place for me because the baby can't go to bed when I'm in here. So we're working
that's the
on a
problem.
new spot. But yeah, that'll come soon. But no,
Yeah.
life's good. Adeline turned 13 last weekend. We had 3 birthday parties for her on the weekend because
Holy-
it's
all
a big
right.
one. That's what they do. Friday night, Saturday night, they had a I don't know, mom and aunt's encouragement birthday. I don't know what they did. She's funny. You could tell she's my kid. I asked her on Sunday how it went. She said it was awkwardly emotional. I was like, that's my girl. It's like, was there a lot of crying? She said, yes, too much. I was like, good. Yeah, that sounds like my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had whatever they do at the 13th birthday in my wife's household. Anyway, it's a time of encouragement. It was wonderful. I'm sure it was excellent. Like,
Yeah,
I
no doubt.
I joke around about it, but I'm appreciative of the women that, look after my kids and help them live life. So I shouldn't give it too hard of a time, but that's the reality. But yeah. And then other than that, man, just trying to train and get my runs in, and the 2.5-hour run on Sunday or Saturday nearly killed me. And
Did you do it outside or on the treadmill?
I did it on the treadmill because the process is funny. Like, again, this whole, like, trying to manage stress before you run, like the amount of stress that I was like putting on myself to go run outside and get enough gels or enough nutrition with me and take my water with me and find a route that I could get back to the car so I could get more water. And Hottie was just like, why don't you just go run on the treadmill and, whatever. And I'll bring you some treats and some water every 45 minutes. You only have to think about it. So
Beauty.
shout out to my wife on Saturday. Like, I disappeared to the garage for 2.5 hours and she was getting ready to take Adeline to the birthday party down in St. John. And yeah, she came out and checked on me more than once and told me I wasn't allowed to quit. And anyway, got the run done. And then I, the next day, like, I was just exhausted. I just couldn't even could barely function the rest of the day. But it's it's one of those good exhaustions in some ways. So
Yeah.
anyway, so it's been mostly good. I'm just kind of grinding away.
The steady states are a whole different beast than what we've been used to so far. I mean, you've gotten more experience than I have. I'm just getting into mine now. I'm only going to get like a couple weeks before we start tapering for Rockwood, but it's like doing shifting from tempos to steady states is like kind of taking the edge off of the burn from tempos, but just dragging it out even longer. So it's like a totally different kind of build. So I've been trying to get my head around that, and it's not like the funnest thing to do in the world, but it's I think I like it more than tempo runs. Like tempos are like sprinting. These ones are like one step below sprinting. How have you found those? Did you like one more than the other?
If I'm on a treadmill, I like tempo runs better because you break them up. They're harder, but you get that walk break. You drive for that walk break. You're like,
Yeah.
you can push. There's an end that's quicker than 2.5 hours of just slogging along at 5 or 5.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And, so I do on a treadmill. I appreciate the tempo runs more. I think outside, like if I'm out cruising through the woods, like I don't do a lot of tempos in that scenario because I like to just enjoy the nature or whatever. And so I think it depends. It's situational for sure. Do you think we're getting a taper into Rockwood? Because like we have another project at the end of the month that we're doing. Big secret. We're not talking about it on the show, but it's longer than Rockwood. So like I don't know that we're getting a taper into Rockwood. I think our taper will come. Like Rockwood's going to be a training day.
Part of the training.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
and then we'll have
maybe you're right.
maybe a week taper or a week and a half taper going into the end of the month when we're doing our other thing.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. So I will get a nice, mouthful of steady state. So
I mean, I don't know because we haven't gotten the next set of training yet. So maybe I'm completely wrong on that, but I don't know.
I know. But regardless, it's a new beast. But I've also noticed something too, Jeff, about my own mind. I am bound by the numbers on the treadmill. Like I have this invisible barrier that the numbers on the treadmill put on me. When I run outside, and maybe it's the difference between GPS and the treadmill. I mean, that could be it too. Like it's probably not as accurate. So, but it feels like I can run faster outside than I can on the treadmill. And I think part of it is just because I'm not looking at the numbers. Like I'm not looking at what my speed is. I go faster down hills, like there's a difference in those kinds of things. Do you have that too? Like, do you run faster outside?
Yeah, I mean, lately when I've been taking my run outside, I definitely will run faster than I do on the treadmill for sure. Yeah.
And maybe that's everybody.
The treadmill at X, and I just run it, and it feels hard because it's boring or whatever. And outside, you get that extra bump in your step from it being sunny and get the fresh air or whatever it is. And I think you're right. I think you're bound by the number for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, just interesting to notice those things as we train. We got on the show today. We've got our good buddy Devin Kennedy is going to be on the show talking a little bit about RTF and talking about some of his training. And so we're going to have him on in a few minutes. But before we did that, I wanted to just talk a little bit about the intro group. So I'm doing the intro group again with my daughter, Catherine. We did it the first time last year. Catherine loved the environment and loved the community so much she wanted to do it again to get ready for the East Coast Beast Coast. And I just gotta say, like, we're 2 runs into it now. I think it's 8 weeks long, and it is like some of the most inspiring stuff you're gonna see. Like, I'll just be honest, like it warms my heart to watch these runs. Like, as someone who's we've run a fair bit now, just to see people try this for the first time because a coworker invited them to come out. Like that's so awesome to be able to see them do it. And I just find it like super inspiring to see all these people. Like, you remember how we were when we first started, right? Like the grit that they have to be able to push up some of those, little hills that we got to get up to that you're not used to running. I mean, it's been really cool to see. And if you need a little dose of encouragement, just come out to watch the group run. Like, it is just it's so cool to see. And I've gotten that feeling each time I've gone so far. And it's been a lot of fun. And we're in the caboose group. Like, so we're not in the ultra fast people or, you know what I mean? Like, we are at the back of the pack, and it's just awesome to be there. I really enjoyed it.
It blows my mind when I see the pictures from Mark with 140 people coming out to the intro group. Like, to me, that's pretty well mind-boggling to think that they're in their, is this the 3rd year for the intro group?
I think so, something like that, 3rd or 4th, yeah.
And it sells out every time. If he didn't put a cap on it, there'd be 200 people registered. Like, I just think I a testament to the community that they're building, obviously, but it's cool that there's like new people doing it. And so
And I
that's
usually
awesome.
like the numbers drop as the weeks go on because people are like, this isn't for me. But they've like this past week, there wasn't that many that have dropped, so they're sticking with it and pushing through. Now, I think this week we go to Rockwood, and this will be the one where we start to see
Yeah.
what trail running can be like.
Yeah.
That cursed land. But it is just really cool to see. And I wanted to mention that on the show because it is just awesome. So kudos, hat tip to all of the beginner intro trail running people. It's awesome to see you guys doing it, and just keep pushing through it. You're doing great. So I don't know if any of them listen to the show. They probably don't, but
Well, it's time to start bringing some cards, bud. Do
I
card drop.
should start. We need to get some stickers or decals or something like that we can hand out. We should be doing that. Get our PR people on that.
We could sponsor some cookies or something for the end.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe some donuts. We'll do some donuts.
We're foreshadowing to the rest of the show.
We're foreshadowing for the conversation ahead, which is with Devin Kennedy. And so we are going to throw it to our conversation with him. We hope you enjoy it. All right, we are thrilled to have one of our favorite friends back in the Chasing Trails studios, Devin Kennedy from Resilience Through Fitness, friend of the show, sponsor of the show, coach extraordinaire. It's awesome to have you in with us again, man. It's good to see you.
Thanks so much, Brandon and Jeff. It's great to be back. You guys are beauties, so I'm happy to be back.
I love that we're all coordinated today. Like, raise those fins up, boys. We got to get them in there. That's awesome. We honestly, Devin and I didn't coordinate it. Jeff didn't even have his on, but we kind of encouraged him to go put it on, so we're all matching now. So we're good to go. It's great. It's great. Great. These are awesome sweaters too, Devin. Can I just say, by the way, like, not to blow smoke up your chimney, but these are super comfortable.
Yeah, I love wearing them. Yeah, they came out. Yeah, I'm super stoked. I appreciate the feedback. They're super comfy, especially after the swim. I throw it on and I'm like, I'm cozy.
Yeah. That's exactly what I do too. I always like put mine on after a workout or whatever, after the shower, and put them on. Yeah. It's super relaxing. But we're not here to talk about sweaters. But in a way, we are here to talk about sweaters. We're here to talk about RTF. So, Devin, the last time we talked to you, I guess, did we talk to you last season? I'm not even sure I can't remember now. Yeah, we did.
I think we did.
You were still working with the police department, and you were doing RTF. RTF was growing like crazy. You're getting all sorts of opportunities to talk around Canada. Mm-hmm. And so fill us in on where you at now, like what's going on with your life these days.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the transition mode now out of like the frontline side of the policing gigs. So I'm getting like retraining and all that stuff. So I'm going through that process now, still working through the psychological injury side of things. But what I really did was lean into the fitness side, and it's been amazing to see how much in conjunction with, EMDR and with the psychological treatments that I've been doing. But on the off days from doing the psychological treatments, I'm pushing my body's limits and feathering the throttle on my acute stress. So kind of invoking a little bit of that acute stress, but making sure that the chronic load isn't too much, that it causes me to have any setbacks. So that's been really beneficial. And but yeah, I'm in the kind of transition out to I guess, what would you call it? Like civvy life? It's different.
Yeah. And for those who hadn't heard some of our past episodes, you had been hit by a vehicle on duty, right? And that had like some major impact on you. And kudos for you for still working through all that sort of stuff. A lot of people would have just, tried to forget about it or bury it in a bottle or whatever. And so, man, good for you for keeping the fight, man. And that's a huge part. That's a huge part of what RTF's all about, though, right? Like, this is a main part of it.
So it was a big thing, was like, I attribute fitness as a huge factor in why I was able to survive the incident, because I was at the fittest I ever was at that point. But then I also attribute it because, 5 days after the incident, I was trying to get back into the gym and I couldn't do much. I was all bandaged up, but I was at least in there moving. I still remember there's a video of myself and my, well, I guess now fiance. I guess the secret's out now.
Hey, congratulations! Yes. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, but at that time, right, she was my girlfriend, and we had been dating for a bit, but I remember I was sitting on this box because I couldn't really walk. I had the crutches, and I was pissed that I couldn't run the air bike, like to push her with my legs and the arms. And she was like, "Wow, you just push, and I'll do the legs." And I'm like, "Okay." So it was fun because there's like a little video where I'm pushing and pulling with my arms, and then she's just going back and forth with her legs. So I actually saw that the other day, and I was like, "Shit!" Like, that's a few years ago now, and here we are now. She said, she never said, here, you'll love this. She never said I do or yes. She said, okay, whenever I go. I was like, that's exactly what I'd expect you to say. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. Cause I remember when I proposed to Natalie, she didn't say anything. And so I was just like standing there in the snow with this ring. And I was like, this is where you're supposed to say yes. So eventually she said yes, but yeah, those reactions don't always go the way you expect them to. Like, it's not like the movies all the time, right?
Yeah, and she was is such a good, like a rock for me through this. So like, kudos to her for sticking it out with me, because there were some really dark days and dark stretches there where, whenever I realized, and where the treatment team realized that, like, it's unlikely you're going to get back to frontline policing, that was everything I'd ever wanted. So then I was like, okay, that was my purpose, was to get to be a police officer. So then once that was taken away, I didn't know what to do. That was it. That was my life. So then I kind of had to refine my purpose, and that's kind of where I found RTF. And I think that's why it means so much to me, is because I know that fitness was a huge factor in saving me, but before and after the incident, and trying to get that proactive fitness for members, or anybody in life can use proactive, stress resilience training. So that's our big motivation.
Wow. So, Devin, it sounds like you've had a pretty big year. I mean,
it's been wild.
has had a few struggles, had a high moment there with getting engaged.
Yeah.
Things are changing. One of the things I always find fascinating is just working through personal identity, and you touched on it a little bit there with just the fact that for you, your identity was wrapped up in being a frontline police officer. That changes. And then, and I think that happens to a lot of us, no matter what kind of age we find ourselves in. Like, there's something we think we are, and then as time happens or life circumstances happen, that changes. How do you, and maybe there's no right answer for this one, but like, how do you push through that to discover your new, like, identity? Like, if someone didn't have RTF on the wing, like you did, like, how would they, do you have any advice for them? Like, how would you discover what that is for you?
I think it's like, you really learn a lot about who you are in those, like, really dark and tough times. I think it's staying true to yourself, to what you believe in. I think if I, would have maybe not stayed true to what I truly believe in, maybe, I would have been a little more supported at the, prior place. But I knew that there was things that needed to change in the industry, and that things that I wanted to advocate for. It's that's a tough one, but I honestly can say that I'm stronger today than I was before the incident. Like, I don't know what version I am. I used to say it's Deven 2.0, but I think I'm on like 5 or 6.0 now, with all the ups and downs. But you really learn so much about yourself, and whenever you just have to start somewhere. I think that's a big thing. But if you're trying to, like, if people are going through those tough times, it's try to find the positives in the moment. I think that was one thing that kind of I really started to grasp on, or kind of grab for, was, okay, I'm spiraling, I'm in a downward moment here. What's the positive of it? Well, it's a sunny day. right? Or I'd try to kind of pull something meditation. You could never get me to meditate growing up, or even in my first time, or my first few years of policing. Like, but once I started doing that and just being present in the moment, then it totally changed my kind of outlook.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate your vulnerability because it is like it can be hard to try and find some sort of little spark in the midst of those darker days, like especially during the winter time when everything's like dark and cold and nobody wants to move. You just want to hibernate and watch Netflix until your eyeballs fall out. Like, um, it's finding those little pieces to keep moving forward. I think that's such a huge piece of advice. Like, what are the things that just take the next right step, right? Like, what's the next right step you can take?
Exact. One foot in front of the other. And, like even this winter, I went out, I remember it was snowing and I was pissed off that I couldn't, go for a swim because the lake was half froze and I didn't have my wetsuit. And I was like, well, all right, I'm going to go down and meditate. And so like I went down with the shovel and shoveled off the dock and, got down on my knees and kind of got settled in. And I was like, whew, chilly. But, then I closed my eyes, took some deep breaths, and I was like, oh, yeah, here we go. And it was so, I guess, like energizing because the cold air, right? And it's coming into your nose and it's going into your chest. And you're like, oh, yeah, I can feel my body starting to shiver. And then you kind of try to settle that heart rate down. And it was one of the best meditations I had. I was like, this is wicked. So then I started to make that a habit, right? So
Yeah.
you can get through those dark days. You just got to kind of find what works for you, because not everybody loves meditating or cold water therapy or any of that stuff. So
Right.
it's what works for that specific person.
Yeah, for sure. But so to kind of help you get through this, though, you signed up for something crazy, which is an Ironman. Tell us how that happened. How did you get into this?
So it was a buddy of mine now, a good friend now. And at the time it was just a gym member that I was coaching. And, they were probably just phenomenal. Right away, I was like, man, I can vibe with this guy. Like this guy's there's something different about him in a good way. And he just didn't have an off button. He would be buckling, and he was like, I'm not stopping. I'm like, you still got another 30 minutes of this. And he's like, yeah, well, I'll be fine. I'm like, oh, I like you. So we got to chatting, and he just didn't have an off switch, but he had been through a ton of stuff, frontline member and dealt with a lot of things. And he harnessed that trauma that he had experienced and used that as fuel. And I thought that was just so inspiring, and just how, super humble guy, but like just phenomenal, super fit. Anyways, he says, we should do a comp together. And I'm like, no, because I'll die. Like, you are a machine, right? Like, you don't have an off switch. And he's like, yeah. So he kept at me. And then eventually he was like, let's do an Ironman. I'm like, I can't swim, bud. He's like, you'll learn. And I'm like, it's not that easy. So he kept at me. And then I was like, tell you what, I said, you sign up. And if you sign up, I'll do it. Well, in the next morning, Kristen's like, Spencer's signed up for an Ironman? And I'm like, and I was like, beep, beep, beep. Like, I was like, come on. And she's like, what? I'm like, I said that if he'd signed up, I'd sign up. She's like, you can't swim. And I'm like, I know, I'm aware. Like, so I was like, I guess I'll sign up. And she's like, what? So I told him, I was like, all right, man, I'm going to do the half. I said, you do the full if you want, but I'm doing the half. He goes, no, there is no half option. It's only full in the Ottawa one. And I'm like, of course, that's why, right? Of course you would do that. So it was about, I guess it'd be like August, right, of last year. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm already swimming. Like, at that point, I had been swimming for a couple of months. the first day I swam, it was 100 meters and I had a full blown panic attack. And I was like, oh yeah, I just have to stand up because I'm not even over my head yet. Right. So I was like, oh, just stand up, Devin. You'll be fine. Yeah. So, but then, I kind of like progressively overloaded. Right. So by, I guess it'd be September or August, I was swimming 10,000 meters a month. And then September, I was, I think, 14,000 meters. So, I had progressively overloaded. So I was like, yeah, there's something to this. I think I can get there for next year. Right. I love biking and I love running. So I was like, I just got to not drown in the first third of the thing. And
You're the first one.
Right. I just can't drown and I'll make it. Might not be much under the time cap, but I think I can do it. So
finish is the finish, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where it started. He just legit, it was just kind of one of those challenges. He was like, yeah, man, and he even was very open about it. He needed something for the next year to like keep him pushing through. And I was in a rough spot too. So I was like, I need something to get me to 2026 because 2025 has been a gaggle. So I gotta get to 26. And yeah, it's been an amazing kind of journey figuring it out as I go, and kind of like I was telling you before, I'm kind of doing the test dummy trick with it, doing as much research as I can, pulling it all together, building out our programs, and then testing each as we go through the phases, progressing him because I'm doing his programming also, but then I get to be the test dummy to see, okay, that might be too much, or, oh, no, that's not enough, or that's perfect for him because we're at different stages too. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of, you see lots of people trying to grab Ironman training plans offline and all that sort of stuff. And it's not like when Jeff describes what he was doing, I just can't get my head around all the stuff. Like, do you find it difficult to train for 3 different sports at once? Like, to me, that seems like the hardest part is trying to get 3 different sports trained up in your time.
Yeah, I think one of the authors that I was reading, you said, you just have to be pretty good at all 3, or decent at all 3. Like it's hard because, you're trying to, okay, let's say if you really focus on swimming, well, that's only 1/3 of it. And it's really only 3.8K. But you got to bike 180K. So if you can't bike 180K at a good zone 2 or zone 3 comfortably and be having a high output, then you're going to be a gong show when it comes to the marathon. So you're kind of, honestly, you're basically, it's like a battle of nutrition, almost like an ultra, right? You're managing your stress load, making sure you get enough intake, preloading the intake, but not overloading it. So you get the old runner's gut trick and all that crap, right? So you got to kind of figure that out. And so I've been kind of like playing around with the fasted side of it the last, probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because I want to find where I bonk and where I hit that wall. And at what heart rate, kind of, figure out my threshold, which I already kind of have an idea of, obviously, but figure out where my threshold is at, and then how long can I keep that limiter up there before my body's like, yeah, we need some energy in here. So then I can kind of know for my loading and stuff. So it's been interesting. Every now and then the wheels just come right off, but but I just kind of lean into it. I'm like, well, that was interesting. And then, we just get into it for the next one, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I can't even imagine that distance. I'm just impressed by what you're doing. I don't even know how to respond to it, but
you'll have some of the best naps of your life after after a really good brick workout. You'll go out some Sunday or Saturday and you'll hit the bike for 40 or 50 kilometers, and then you'll come home and you'll be like 5 minutes to change and you got to go for a run for 10 or 15, and then you won't fuel it right, and you'll come home and you'll hit the couch, and your fiance, I guess in this case, will be like, "What the heck happened to you?" And you'll just be dead for 3 hours, and you like middle of the day, because that's the experience I had during some of those long bricks. Like, I don't know if you're doing brick workouts yet, Some
Yeah.
people swear by them. There's a lot of like mixed information out there about these like crazy long brick workouts, but I just grabbed a training plan online when I did my half Ironman and had no coaching. Just like I was like, I could be an intermediate half Ironman. It's my first one, but that's intermediate, and so some of it was way too long for sure. But yeah, like I bonked pretty hard. So I don't know if you're doing any bricks yet, but you'll
Yeah, we're
experience some
getting
fun
into
stuff.
this phase is a lot of phasing into the bricks, and it's interesting too to see how to manage his stress load whenever I'm programming for him, because we're at totally different spots, right? He has a lot of chronic stress from the job, being still active duty, and then several kids, and then a wife, a lot of responsibilities. I'm going through the psychological recovery, but I'm not, having to get up and go to work in the mornings, right? Like I'm getting up and like I'm able to train, right? So the difference in how I program from him for him compared to me is a lot different. So for me, I'm like, okay, I can do a big brick day. And then for him, it's like, man, I got like OT and this and that. So managing that for him has been pretty interesting too, to kind of see the difference. But yeah, there's going to be some I'll look like that giraffe meme with the old wobble leg.
Yeah.
Gonna be me.
So are you kind of hoping after this, and maybe you don't have to answer this, are you kind of hoping after this though that RTF be able to do like Ironman like coaching as well after you've kind of gone through this experimentation?
I would love to. Like, I think it's the biggest thing with it is, it's not so much that, obviously there's that side of it that I'm learning and being able to expand what RTF can offer. But, I've always harped on post-traumatic growth. And I think that I want this Ironman to be a big example of that. Of, yes, I've diagnosed PTSD, and yes, depression, anxiety, all that good stuff. But, you can still have a productive life. You can still have accomplishments. You can still, be successful even with that. Whereas sometimes people can get diagnosed with PTSD and it's just kind of a dead end. They're like, oh shit, I'm screwed. And it's like, well, yes, but we can work with that, and everybody's different. But I feel like that I want it to be an example of, or like an inspiration for those that are struggling, that we'll get through it. We just one day at a time, because I know whenever I started swimming back in July, it was just out of desperation. That's swimming for survival. That's where it all came from. Was I had everything. I had, a longtime girlfriend. I had a cozy place on the lake, and I still didn't know if I would make it to the next day. So then I was like, I need something to kind of get me through. I couldn't go running in the woods because we had the lovely band on, and
Oh yeah, wonderful.
yeah, right. So I was like, oh my God. And then I was struggling a lot and with hypervigilance. So I couldn't go out to the local gym where I train and coach at, because I was having so much hypervigilance that my body didn't know who was friend or foe, didn't know. It was just on mad alert all the time. So I was just super reclused. So I remember I was sitting down at the lake, super rattled, and I was like, man, this is going to be a shitty summer if I can't leave my seat, let alone go into town for groceries, this and that. So I remember looking at the lake and I'm like, well, it looks so cozy out. Like, look how nice that is out there. Like, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I can just kind of, dip my feet in. So like I went down to the dock and put my feet in, and then I went and got on the ladder, and the water used to give me this response that the minute I would get in it, it would take all the breath away, and I'd have that panic reaction. So I remember I was like, okay, well, let's do some meditation. And I went down onto the landing, or onto the ladder, and did like almost like the like child's pose almost, where my knees were right up to the chest, like fetal position almost. And every time I would, I closed my eyes, which is, whenever you're struggling with hypervigilance, closing your eyes out in public is like, sends all the sensors through the roof. So I closed my eyes to kind of get that elevation and the heart rate. And then I just started breathing and bringing the heart rate down. And I know it's crazy. I know you guys are gonna be like, no shit, Devin, but whenever whenever I would breathe in, it would bring my body. I noticed it would bring the water from my neck and it would bring it up to my chest. And I'm like, what the fuck? So then I breathe out and I'd go back down to my chin. And I'm like, well, and I breathe in and it would come up. And I'm like, are you telling me that all I got to do is leave some air in my lungs for a little bit and I can float? Because I swim like a lead pipe. So I was like, oh, that's it? So then I started like practicing, like just floating, spreading water and kind of just getting comfortable with it. And then that's kind of where it started. I was like, okay, I can at least go for a meditation swim or a tread water, or, like Jeff said, take my little pillow out into the lake. And that started to be my way of meditating and coping with the hypervigilance that I was struggling with. Right. So,
Wow.
and then I just kind of leaned into that. I'm like, all right, we're swimming every day as many times as we need to make it to tomorrow. And then I just kept building on day, trying to get a little bit further, even if it was 20 meters or so further. Right.
Yeah. Wow. One of the questions I had, you just answered them, is like, how do you help someone who's kind of mentally stuck? And maybe it's not so much like, I mean, the physical part is a section of it, but like a lot of us, like even just Jeff and I, when we talk about like our weight, like part of it and weight control is just so much of it in our brain. Like so much of it is in our head, not so much. We know what to do. Like we know how to, it's just, we never, we never get our brain to line up. It's like stuck there. Well, I'll only speak for myself. Jeff may have different reasons, but it just seems like, like helping someone move from that spot is it sounds to me like what you're saying is like just one thing at a time, and that habit forming,
Exactly.
and is there anything else you throw in there with that?
Yeah, I'd say if you can optimize your recovery, you're going to be able to perform better, right? So I always say I love a good IPA, but an IPA and then trying to go for a run ain't going to be fun. And if I have a bunch of IPAs and then I try to go for a run in the morning, my performance metrics are going to be crap. So that forced me to kind of adjust my own nutrition too, right? But I think it's just, honestly, it's starting with the simple building blocks, your basic lifestyle stuff. So your sleep, your recovery, your nutrition, getting those meals in, like you guys know, right? Like protein, carbs, some fats, and then just making that a consistent thing. Dialing in the consistency is going to exponentially progress you, even more so than if you have a crazy good day and then you're off the rails for 3 days. I'd rather you have 4 pretty good days, because it'll show whenever I start doing my nerdy stuff, digging into the metrics. It'll show the progress. You'll get so much more progress through consistency than you will through like burn and crash, right? So just honestly, and progressive overload, right? So some people, it's like Jeff said, there's kind of mixed opinions, like of 3 weeks of build, 1 week of deload, 3 weeks of build. I've kind of switched from that, and I kind of do adequate recovery per week, and just making sure that we're still increasing you at maybe like 10%, but we're not going to overdo it and we're not going to underdo it. We're kind of just keep feathering the throttle, and then you might be progressing quicker. I know Spencer's crushing it because the guy's a machine.
Yeah.
So it's, for him, I'm progressing him a little bit quicker than myself, and he's able to recover. And then if I notice that some of his metrics are off, or he's not getting that sleep that he needs, or he's getting called out for overtime and this and that, I pull back on the intensity, because now his chronic stress load from work and this and that is going to be a factor. So, I've said it before, stress is stress. Your body doesn't know the difference. We're trying to invoke good stress on the body, but if you're having bad stress, like distress on the body from work and stress in the outside world, you're not going to perform. So we want to pull down on that eustress, the good stress, to allow the body to recover.
It's so funny you're talking about this because we were talking with John. He's a coach with Waybound Running, and
Yeah.
he's talking about stress too. Like he was just talking about how the negative impact of stress can have on your training. And I mean, it feels like in some ways it's unavoidable. Like we have jobs, we have lives, stress comes, but it's how you manage that stress. I mean, for me, nothing takes my stress away like a nice donut, but that's not necessarily like the healthiest way to deal with my stress. And so it's so key. Like, can you give some tips for like guys like me who like to eat our stress? Like, is there any way that you can encourage us to just not put down the sugar and like find something else? Like, is there any encouragement there?
I think it's identifying it, and you just did it. You were like, whenever I get stressed, I want a donut. Well, it's because donuts are delicious. Like I can totally attest. I agree, but where is that going to get me to my goal? And, I was fortunate, a buddy of mine that started off as a client, then now he's an ambassador client, and now he's starting coaching with us. He said, is it going to get you to your end goal? Is it going to benefit you to that end goal? And I think that that's kind of a big thing is what you're doing, is it going to get you any closer to what you want in the end? And, but also I think too, being forgiving to yourself and being like, yeah, it's okay if I have the donut, but I can't do it every damn time. Or, it's okay to have a treat, right? Like,
Right.
I crushed, before I hopped on the podcast, fellas, I had a handful of mini eggs.
Oh,
right?
man.
Mwah, delicious. Right? But,
Just one handful, so right, not the whole bag like me.
That's right. I put it away quick. Yeah.
Was that on the show that we were talking about mini eggs not that long ago? I think it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're talking about you eating the whole
sat in
bag.
the car and I ate the entire bag of mini eggs when my kids were playing soccer, and then I was like, "Oh, I was supposed to bring those home to my wife," and I just like hid them. I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
How dare they say 220 calories per serving and not tell you that there's 7 servings in a bag?" Anyway, sorry, you got me on a tangent. You really stepped forward there.
But legit, that's and honestly, like I really started keeping an eye on what's in this serving, which I definitely just had a serving. So, but looking at, okay, how many carbs, how much protein, how much fats, how are the fats saturated or the polyunsaturated and all that good stuff. But kind of, what are you putting into your body and how is that going to benefit you? And I feel like I've really been fortunate because I was able to kind of recognize that and dial that in. But like I just spoke with a bunch of paramedics not recently at their wellness symposium. And I said to them, like, you guys, does anybody else struggle whenever they drive by the Golden Arches at 3 a.m.? And they're kind of like, and I'm like, because I sure as shit did. I used to love a McFlurry at 3 a.m. because my body was mad that I was still awake. I had just dealt with stuff at work. And my body was like, let's just try to be happy for 1 second. And then the Golden Arches came by and I was like, happy, right? But as I learned, that doesn't benefit you. It gives you that quick dopamine hit. And then it's all those empty calories. So, like the old saying, right? Earn your dopamine. That's something that I've really kind of grasped onto too, is that same feeling that I get after, eating some treats and this and that. You can get that from fitness and from, meditating in the cold and this and that. So I feel like I've just kind of really focused on that, like, and that's been kind of changing the wiring, I guess you could say, of the brain to be like, if you go for a run, you're going to feel wicked after. But if you do have those fries, you're not going to go for a run and your guts are going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
So, right. But it was Burger Love on PEI over the weekend, and I absolutely crushed a burger. And it was so good, super high in calories, didn't do me any favors, but it's okay because it's one burger, you know?
Right.
So like having that balance, right?
Yeah.
You got to have balance in your life. If you're not a realist with that side of stuff, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, and I think, like you're just saying, like being forgiving with yourself when, I mean, I'm with Jeff. Like, I've crushed way too many eggs to be healthy. But one of the other questions, and we're gonna exploit you while you're here because we free coaching, is one of the things that Jeff and I both struggle with is managing time. So I'm just thinking about your Ironman training. Like that's a huge time suck. But you also think about, the guy that you're training with though, who's got, his family and his kids too. Like one of the things Jeff and I are always trying to do is figure out how can I work my training into life. Like, and it feels like as we get older, as our families grow, like that becomes more and more difficult. Like Jeff's in like the thick of it right now. He's got like teenagers to diapers right now. And like I've got, kids going to university and I've got like 10-year-olds just getting ready to go to middle school. So our lives look different, but they're so busy.
Yeah.
So do you have any, and like everyone has those problems, but like any advice on how to integrate training into busy life? Like anything you got for us there?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, like a schedule. I mean, you guys definitely, I'm sure, have schedules because he's probably driving people from here to there to everywhere, and you're trying to cram it in. I've found ways of personally that have worked really well are just I have to have so much time on a bike. So for me, for example, I have a gas guzzling truck and for some reason the gas keeps going up. So I'm like, okay, this sucks. So I'm fortunate because grocery store is not overly far away. So I bike to get my groceries. It's not the hottest thing in the world and ain't no, there's, you roll in on a 21 speed with your little bell, right? It's not the, steadiest thing in the world to do, but I'm getting my some of my bike time in, and then that knocks those kilometers off that I have to do through the week. But for you guys, for example, I feel like it's maybe early in the mornings or it's hard. I personally don't love or I don't really promote with clients in the evenings because your body's tired, right? Circadian rhythm. So you got that sleep pressure that builds through the day. And then if you go and train in the evening or late at night, you're messing up that circadian rhythm. Now, some people are kind of that night owl and they're good to go. They're like, I can only train in the evening. And I'm like, okay, that works. That's you. Right. But honestly, it's to each specific client. It's kind of, it would honestly, I'd have to kind of see, okay, what do you guys got for your schedule? What's the best day of the week? How much? That's a big question I always ask clients on the intake is how many hours a week can you realistically give me? And then usually it's a little bit less than they say that they can actually give, which is okay, right? But understanding that is a big thing. Is like, how many hours can you realistically crush it out? And even if, let's say you're, starting off with that 30 minutes, 45 minutes a day, well, you're still going to get, those 4 hours or what's the numbers? 30 minutes a day times 7. What do we got? 7? 4?
I don't know. Jeff's the banker.
Jeff.
3.5.
3.5. Yeah. So that's still better than not doing anything and then doing 3.5 hour run. I'd rather you do 30 minutes a day because now your body's going to get adapted to 30 minutes a day. And then it's not going to be a big deal when you do 40 minutes, 50 minutes, because your body's getting used to that every day. I got to do 30 minutes. So honestly, I'd rather a 30-minute run than going for a 1 hour run every 3 days. I'd rather you do a 30-minute run a day. You get it in, you get the body moving, you get the blood flowing. Mobility, like crushing some mobility while you're watching TV and stuff is huge, because you think, in traditional Chinese medicine side of things, the body has so much energy going through in the blood, right? And it's flushing everything out. That's what you want to be doing. So if you're flushing all those, toxins and this and that, and moving the nutrients through the body, that's going to get you the recovery. So that's what I would say would be the best thing, is start small and consistently, and I'm the big advocate for, a good rest day a week. Sometimes clients, it's twice a week. Personally, for me, it's once a week, but sometimes I have a deload week, like last week, whenever we were gone on a trip. Like, I didn't get all my biking in, but we rented city bikes or whatever, Bixie or whatever you call it, and you're bombing around with a little, 3-speed bike, trying not to get over by any cars, and then we'd go for our morning run, right, and grab a coffee, and then walk back as a recovery on the walk back. So you can still fit it in. It's just the consistency with it is going to get you the best results.
Yeah, consistency.
Consistent.
That's the dirty word right there. Consistency. Right? Oh my goodness, so easy. Hard to spell, hard to do. Like, it's just one of those things that but it makes such a huge difference. Like, it really does. Consistency is the key.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jeff, you got any questions there? Anything you want to lob in there before we finish up?
No, I like the talk towards consistency. It's funny how you mentioned I'd rather you go for a half-hour run once a day than 3.5-hour run on a Saturday and kill yourself. Because I always sit there and fight with myself when I'm like, well, I got a half hour, I could go get a run, and I'm like, well, it's just a half hour. What's that? What good is that? Or 20 minutes? What good is that? But it is, when you think of it the way you just described it, it makes a lot more sense. Last time we saw you, you were sleeping in a tent above your truck for Rockwood Park. The weather, I don't know if Rock was going to be as cold as it was that day that you slept in your tent.
Oh my God, that was so cool.
You had much longer hair then too, Devin. Like, what happened? You look like a pretty boy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You look good. You look good, by the way. But you just, different look. I walked into my room and saw you on the computer, and I was like, who the hell's that guy?
Well, I was sleeping in my tent so much, I needed the long hair for insulation.
Right.
But man, this winter, because I cut it over the winter, and I was like, oh, my ears didn't know what was hitting them, man. Like, those things were frozen. Yeah, that was a cold ass night too. And I was like, how the hell am I gonna run 50K? I can't even get out of the tent. I'm so cold. I gotta pee, and I don't even want to. I'd just rather piss myself in this tent than get out into the cold. Like, man, that was wild. And of course, I parked into the wind, right? Like, it got right. Like, oh man. Anyways, that was a fun experience. I had a blast with you guys.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, we didn't have a great run, but it was awesome to see you get yours done. That was fantastic. So we're glad that we were able to show up for that.
That was a blast.
Yeah, man. And we just appreciate you showing up for the podcast and being a part of what we're doing. So we say it to you privately, but we want to just say it publicly as well. Just thanks for taking the interest in us and helping us out. We really appreciate you.
I love it. Yeah, you guys are always so genuine, and it's it was a no-brainer for me to want to help out on the podcast and stuff. And you guys have been so great to deal with, and I'll probably have to start picking Jeff's brain a bit about the triathlon side of things.
I don't know about that. Yeah. I was pretty green. I mean, I did a lot of it. I'd be happy to help you out if I could, but I don't know that I'm the best resource. And I mean, when I lived up in Ottawa, though, like the route that they have up there, I've looked at the race and thought about doing it 2 years in a row now since I moved to Ottawa, because I was going to try to do the Mont Tremblant Ironman. That was the plan, because that's where I did my half Ironman, and they moved it to Ottawa. And so it's been in Ottawa. This will be the second year, I think. And I've thought about it every year, like the last 2 years, and I've never pulled the trigger because I just didn't think I had the time to put towards it, right, to do it well. But I do want to do it, but I do follow quite a few triathlons now and have the app and follow pros and see where they're at. So on the 2nd, I'll be following Devin through live tracking on Ironman for that race. So I'm looking forward to it. They say the biggest thing, I think the best advice I got in some ways was like, don't forget to eat when you get out of the water. Like you don't feel like you're taxed. And I didn't. I swam the half Ironman. I think it was 38 minutes. I did my swim. Of course, you're gonna have to do twice as far as I did. But like I didn't feel tired getting ready to get on my bike. But it just like you could see a lot of people, 30 minutes into their bike struggling because they didn't eat when they got off their bike at the aid station or at their transition. And so, yeah, just you can't eat while you're swimming. So you got to make sure you pile something into you as soon as you get out of the water. So
that was something else too. Somebody had said was, and I have an order coming soon, but the gels and the hydration that they supply there, getting the guts used to it ahead of time.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah, and the Morton gels are awesome. Like they're top of the line gels. Like I didn't feel sick at all on them, and they have them every like 1.5 kilometers. So you can just grab them and go. Like there's one thing that's great about Ironman. They're expensive. Like it's costly to do it, but there was no shortage of supplies. Like you could get Red Bull, Coke, ginger ale, every aid station. It was something else. Yeah, ice to put down your shorts.
What's that?
Ice to put down your shorts. Yeah. Another thing that I thought was absolutely crazy, but it was like 42 degrees the day that I did mine. And like, there's nothing more refreshing than a handful of ice at the bottom of your race tank and you're running and it's hot. It's good.
In the front of the shorts up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Don't even think about it. If it's hot, just do it. It'll change your life.
One of the things I wanted to mention too was, the Ironman, we haven't like released a ton on it yet. We're still waiting for the like the trackable link, but we're doing it's all for a fundraiser, so it's going to be going towards autism South Shore, so like Autism Nova Scotia. So Spencer, one of his sons, Ellis, is autistic, and that was his big inspiration for wanting to do this. Was he said, if my son can go through what he's had to go through and what he continues to go through, I can go through an Ironman. And whenever he suckered me into doing this Ironman, I was like, well, let's do it for something. Like, let's, fundraise for something. And so we kind of were thinking about it, and he wanted to do it for the autism and to support the South Shore district here. And I was like, done, let's do it 100%. Like, so that's been, we're just kind of getting everything done on the back end right now. He's been doing a lot of the legwork on that side of things, but they've been so great to deal with. So we'll be selling, window decals and things like that, trying to fundraise for it. But you'll probably see that stuff start to pop up in between me lying on the side of the road tired.
We love those kind of videos.
Yeah. You tag us in some of those. We'll share that. We'll share that on the podcast channel. Absolutely. We love carnage.
That's right. The more suffering, the better. The more suffering, the better. Before we finish up, Devin, tell everyone where they can find you. Where can they find more info on RTF and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, and then resiliencethroughfitness.com. Everything, if you want anything at all, you can just right through there, and then or email info@resilience-through-fitness. That'll come over to me too, or just drop a DM, and you'll find me here in my little man cave where I took over the spare bedroom.
Oh man, yeah. You're used to that.
Now the office. Yeah. So no, it's been such a great journey. I absolutely love it. So and I love nothing more than seeing the clients progress. Like, there's one guy at the gym now that he's had 100% consistency for the last 6 months.
Wow.
And he's training 3 days a week. It's 3 days a week that he commits to going, and exponential progress because he's just consistent Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And, it's funny, the other day he came in and he's like, there's nothing there today. I was like, yeah, And he's kind of looking at me confused. I said, "Did you do Friday?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "You can do Friday?" And he's like, "Shit." Because it was like a heavy cardio day. And he was like, "Yeah." So then he did Fridays, right? And then I gave him the next one to do and this and that. So yeah, it's seeing that consistency in him and then seeing his progress has been fun. I love it so much. So yeah.
Wicked. All right, Devin, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate you so much.
Always, buddies. Thank you so much, Jeff and Brandon. You guys are absolute salt of the earth. So
appreciate you. All right.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, bud.
Jeff, it's always great talking to Devin. Feels like it's just like having one of the guys around. So it was a great conversation with him. I just really appreciate his vulnerability. He's always just really open. And I think we had heard that he had been going through some struggles and just to be able to catch up with him and have him share a little bit about that was just, I think that made a big difference, just to be able to hear from him.
Yeah, man, it's awesome how you can we talk to Devin once a year, maybe twice. You know what I mean? Like, I reached out to him a few times on Instagram just to say hi or whatever. Or I saw him doing something. When he first started swimming, I was like, listen, just sign up for an Ironman. You'll learn how to swim. Like, it's not a big deal. And here we are, like a year later, he actually is doing an Ironman now. I take zero credit for that. I was mostly just like poking the bear because that's what I do. As you know me well enough that I like to poke. And I know, right? And like I don't even know Devin that well, but I was like, he's a good dude. He'll take it as he'll laugh. And like, I wasn't like really making fun of him that he couldn't swim or anything. I was just like, kind of encouraging but poking at the same time. You're like, you'll be fine. Just do an Ironman. But look at him, like he's doing great, and so good for him. To openly, that's tough to also come on a live recorded podcast and be like, like last summer was a struggle. And the government didn't help. So I had to find other ways to figure my crap out. So good for him. And I hope there's other people out there who are listening, thinking the same thing and realizing, hey, there's options out there, right? So,
and I didn't realize that's the story behind
the story behind the swim club.
Pictures, right? Is like his swimming to survive or whatever. And so I also just really appreciated his thoughts on consistency. Like, every time it just hits like I don't know how it hits. Like it hits me funny because, I know the answer and it just doesn't seem to come so easy for me. And it's so true though. Like just being consistent around something makes a huge difference. I mean,
all I could think about when he said it's okay to have the donut, I was like, well, one donut, not four. Because that's my problem, right? Like, go to Tim Hortons, you don't even realize you ordered 3 Boston cream. Why did you do that? I don't know, but now I have 3. Like, I have to eat them or give them away. I don't do that as much anymore. But like it's funny how you just don't even think about some of the old habits that you do, and then all of a sudden it's like, why do I have 3 donuts in my car? Like,
why do I just eat the 10-pack of Timbits? You know what I mean? Like, that's like, where did these all go? I was going to share these with the kids.
Right. Part of the eggs, right?
Never mind. Throw that box out, get rid of the evidence.
Oh, yeah, man.
Anyway.
I try not to litter, but sometimes, like, you have to. You gotta you get the evidence done.
Nature, that's out the window,
Biodegradable,
That's right. It's a home for birds and squirrels. So, but it was good just to hear those things. And sometimes you just need to hear the simple things and be reminded again that just be consistent, show up for yourself. And that's all good. So, I hope we're able to support what he's doing with autism, helping with raising funds for autism in Nova Scotia and also the Ironman thing. We'll just be sending up prayers for him as he gets ready to do that. That's such a huge job. So, but if anyone can do it, it's him. So, I think that's it for today's show. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen, everyone, and we will talk to you soon. In the meantime, keep on chasing the trails.